Okay, we should be live on YouTube now. So we should be able to start at any point. We'll just, I guess we'll wait a second for John.
Tonight's a good night to have a virtual meeting.
Yeah, it is a good night for a virtual meeting. The roads aren't that nice.
No,
Yeah, it'll be our last virtual meeting as well.
the one in December.
Yeah, after other meeting last week about the return to in-person meetings for boards and committees as well.
I thought that was January.
That's what we had discussed at this committee, but council had passed a resolution directing boards and committees to do that. So we'll talk about that more at our meeting on Monday, which will be in person as well.
Okay.
But there we go. I think John might be figuring out his technical difficulties. Can you hear us, John? Depending on what happens with John's connection, we would have quorum without him. If he's not able to connect, it may be best if one of the other members chaired the meeting, and we went ahead without him. But it's up to the committee. We can give him a few minutes to see if his connection gets sorted out or not as well.
I think we should give them a few minutes. I mean, none of us have any of the information sheets to read aloud.
Yeah, that's fair. The other thing too is that the applicant for the only application for PAC at 6:30 is still not in the waiting room. They were sent the login information on November 9th, so they've had it and should be in attendance, but I don't see them yet.
Greg, if they don't happen to make an appearance, do we defer it?
It's up to the committee. I would suggest that maybe we should defer it in this case, just because it's a zoning bylaw amendment. Sometimes we will proceed without the applicant for very straightforward minor variances, but I think that the applicant should be there to present. And we did receive some comments from the Conservation Authority and MTO. They were supportive of the application, but the MTO had requested that the work being done on the site currently stop, and they have some comments about the commercial entrance and traffic study that's required. So I think that if the applicant doesn't show up tonight, then we probably should defer and actually hear from them at a future meeting.
Works for me.
Well, that's actually what I thought, just having a quick scan of the documents you send out just before the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
When do you want to make that call by, Greg?
It's your decision. We can give him, normally we give 15 minutes for other quorum related things. And while this isn't a quorum issue, it's somewhat similar. So I would say that maybe if the applicant isn't here by 6:45, then we do an automatic deferral. We can also choose to do it sooner if the committee feels that that's preferable.
6:45 works for me.
I think that's fair enough.
Okay.
I do as well. It's I mean it's a commercial entity that they're talking about, so I think they, in fairness, I'm surprised they're not here unless something untoward's happened to them. It's a bad night to drive. You never know.
Yeah. Oh, let's hope that that's not the case.
That's for sure.
But
Any luck with John?
I see him trying. Oh, there. You can see him moving again.
Yeah, he's visible, but he froze out 3 times on my screen before the meeting started.
I don't even see him at
Okay,
all.
Procedural question. If we go ahead, or not go ahead, but if we defer the application because it doesn't look like the applicant is going to be here for the rezoning, we should still pass a resolution to start the meeting and do that, and then pass a resolution for deferral and then adjourn right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's the only application. So I guess we can probably go ahead and start if John seems to be back now then and get the meeting opened anyways.
Sure.
We can't hear you, John. Okay, you're not sure? Okay.
We can pass a resolution to make somebody else the chair for the meeting. If John can't get connected.
Sure. Is there anybody who would like to be chair?
I'll nominate Terry.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Terry. You're so welcome. I
You're the
nominate
lucky
you.
one, Terry.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll get you back.
Yeah.
Do we have a seconder for Terry Kelly?
Oh, I will then.
Oh.
I guess, Terry, do you accept? I can read.
Oh,
the
yes, fine, sure. I'm
resolution.
fine. Thank you. Yes.
That Terry Kelly be appointed acting chair as per section 3.7 of the municipalities procedure bylaw.
Okay, everybody in favor?
Sure.
Very good. Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Variance Committee, East Ferris Variance Committee. It is November 17th. It is now 6:38 and we have a proposal in front of us, but unfortunately the people proposing it are not present at this time. We're going to give them another 7 minutes of grace if the committee is in agreement. And I think then we will defer to our next meeting. Everybody in favor of that?
Yep.
Very good. That's passed by Al and seconded by Frank. Thank you. So we'll give them another 5 minutes and see what happens. Let us know, Greg, please.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Any, do you want to make any comments about the file or should we wait till the people are present?
I think we should probably just wait until the people are present.
Very good.
It's usually best to let them present their application first.
Okay. Just in passing, letting the committee know, we had a council meeting, a special council meeting yesterday. It was in camera, but we had before the meeting started, we had a general conversation concerning whether we should be back in face to face or whether we should have a combination. So I think we're going to discuss it, quite frankly, on Tuesday night's meeting. Don't you agree, Erica? You know, because I know that the numbers lately are up and there is concerns and health issues and we value the importance of our committees and we recognize that people are volunteers, men and ladies, taxpayers are taking time out of their busy schedules to volunteer in our committees. So it's very important and we take nothing for granted, quite frankly. So right now it's kind of up in the air unofficially. So I'm just letting you know. So, because we've already had a couple of very concerned taxpayers that are on other committees and the concerns are general. So just FYI.
While we wait, did we want to adopt the agenda and pass previous?
Yes, please. Yep, have a motions to adopt the agenda, please.
Sure.
Al and Erica?
Erica.
Yes, please.
The draft agenda presented to the committee and dated November 17th, 2021 be hereby adopted as circulated.
All in favor? Thank you.
I think we just got the applicant for rezoning file C 2021-04 in the waiting room.
Oh, terrific. Could I have their names,
Good.
please? Because I don't have any paperwork in front of me, Greg.
Yeah, it's Mark and Barbara Brio.
Mark and Barb? Barbara?
Barbara, yeah. If the
Brio.
committee is ready, I can go ahead and let them in.
Yes, please.
And we still have to adopt the minutes. If we want to do that now.
Okay, please. Minutes of the previous meeting and have the date of it, please.
It was October 20th and November 3rd.
Okay. Mover by Frank Corbeil, seconded by Al Hiroff. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Brio, we hear you, but we can't see you, and you just muted yourself. If you could unmute, please.
Okay,
Okay, now we can hear you. Do you have video, please?
no,
Okay. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. What do you think, Greg?
No.
Okay, very good.
If they're not able to connect to video, I think we can still go ahead.
Not a problem. I mean, it's a stormy night and we've had freezing rain and all kinds of things affecting the infrastructure. So that's understandable. Welcome to our meeting. And would you like to make some comments on your request, please?
I'm Mark Rowe, obviously. So yeah, we're planning on making eventually some outdoor storage to start off with, indoor storage eventually, and maybe a home in the back for us eventually. So it's a 5-year project that we're planning on doing. Hopefully sooner than later, but that's our plan.
Okay. And outdoor, how much, I'm just curious, how many years are you talking about for outdoor, and what's the size of the storage area, please?
The outdoor storage is probably roughly about 2 acres. And the bins would probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of another 2 acres.
Okay. Okay. Al, do you have any questions this time?
Not at this time, no.
Erica?
I'm just waiting for Greg for his follow-up comments at this time. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Frank, at this time, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, could you make your presentation, Greg, if you have any questions or concerns, please?
Sure. Thanks, Terry. I'll go over the staff report and correspondence that we received. With regards to my staff report, generally speaking, the applicant's request is in conformity with our official plan policies and is a zone category that would be appropriate for this location. We do permit commercial activity in our rural areas, and something like a self-storage use would be suited to a highway location. It's the type of area that you would want something like this. That being said, there are some comments specifically from the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority and the MTO that we should address. The MTO specifically has indicated that this would need a commercial entrance permit. So they have no objection in principle to the application, but the MTO comments have been forwarded to the applicant. So part of that would involve a traffic study, an illumination plan, and a stormwater management plan. This would all be required to satisfy the MTO requirements for a commercial entrance. I don't think that there's any need to address that directly in the rezoning application because that requirement exists outside of our zoning process, no matter what the committee decides. So that will be dealt with by the MTO independently of our committee or council. But I did just want to make the applicant aware at this meeting on top of the
Yes, thank you.
they'd set them. Additionally, the MTO did request that all signage that's on the property be removed until the entrance is granted. That's because the MTO also has a permitting jurisdiction for signages on their or within a certain distance of their roadway. So all of the storage signage along the highway should be removed until the MTO permits are granted. The North Bay Meadow Conservation Authority provided comments mostly around the wetland complex that surrounds the property. So there are relatively extensive wetlands and watercourses throughout and around this property. A DIA permit has been granted previously for the site work that's been done already. So the grading, the fill that's been brought in, and the landscaping modifications that have been done in accordance with the DIA permit. I received confirmation from Valerie Murphy that she did a site visit yesterday, and all of the work's been done in accordance with the permit to this point. And any future permit for indoor storage facilities or a house would be subject to a new DIA permit. So that would be dealt with at the time of building permit. Outside of that, the Conservation Authority also has no objection, generally speaking, to the application. And that is the only correspondence we received in the file. And there was no public comment or correspondence.
No objections from adjoining or adjacent neighbors?
Nope.
We didn't hear from anyone, no.
Great. Okay, very good. I'll go back to the committee, please. Starting with Al. Do you have any questions, Al? Sorry, you're muted, Al.
I don't have any problem with this. I don't have any questions at this time, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Erica, yourself?
I'm all good. Thank you, Terry.
Very good. Frank, how about yourself?
Greg, you're saying that this falls under the Planning Act?
In what way?
Well, as far as being for the zoning,
So there,
the zoning portion of it falls under our Planning Act.
yes. So what they're requesting is they're requesting a zoning bylaw amendment to go from the existing agricultural zoning to a general commercial zoning. And the reason why they're requesting that is because the general commercial zoning permits the self-storage uses that they're seeking to establish. It also permits an accessory residential dwelling that can be occupied by the owner / operator of the business. So by going from the agricultural to the commercial zoning, it would allow them to set up their self-storage business as well as the home.
Okay, then I'm good with it.
Very good. So Greg, basically the issue that the BOs have is just following the guidelines from the Mattawa Conservation Authority, and then they have to deal with the MTO to get a access road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Very good. I'm fine with it then. So what is our procedure now, Carrie? Please.
I'll read the resolution. File number C 2020-104, whereas the landowners of the lands described as East Ferris, concession 14, part lot 18, parcel 3661, and what is locally known as 2667 Highway 70 East, has applied for a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the property from agricultural to general commercial special zone in order to move into self-storage business and an accessory residential home on the property. And whereas the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, and whereas the application is in conformity with the policies contained within the official plan for the municipality, therefore be it resolved that the application for a zoning bylaw amendment be recommended for approval.
Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? That would be Frank moving and Al second. Everybody in favor? It's unanimous, passed. Mr. and Mrs. Brio, from then on, is there anything you need for clarification from the committee?
No, not at this time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your application. Greg, do you have any comments?
The only thing I would add is that just for the Brio's benefit, this recommendation from the planning committee will go to council at the next meeting of council on November 23rd. And decision on the recommendation. And following that, a bylaw will be brought back to the next meeting if approved. And you'll receive a copy of the bylaw as well as a copy of the notice of passing from me following that meeting. So I'll be in touch with you in the coming weeks with the official documentation for your file.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude our business on this committee, Greg?
That does, yes.
Okay, very good. Does everybody feel like a 5-minute break?
Well, we have a committee of adjustments scheduled to start at 7 p.m. So we should come back at 7 p.m.
Okay, let's take 7 or 8 minutes. I've got 6:51.
We
Let's
still
come
have to
back about-
adjourn the meeting too.
I'll move
Okay.
to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Al.
I'll
Thank you,
second
Frank.
that.
And Frank is
Frank.
seconding it. What a cooperative committee.
6:51 PM.
All in favor.
Beach Council.
See you in 5.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
John, how are you?
How was the driving out by your place today, Al?
I don't know. I never went out anywhere, Greg.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I stayed home.
That is a good thing to do on days like today.
Yeah, I don't know. What was it like driving back and forth for you?
It wasn't great this morning. It was pretty slippery. I think it was also just the case of like the first snowstorm of the year. So everyone's like driving a little, unsure. So
Well, I hope you went and got your snow tires put on.
I haven't yet. I have them outside. They're in our shed outside. I usually do them right myself. So I'll put both of our sets on sometime in the next couple days. I didn't check the weather in advance, or else I would have done it before today.
Well, I put mine on last weekend and it was actually in anticipation of Sunday. But anyway, today wasn't very good, and tomorrow night's a hockey game. So you got to go to that.
Right. The battalion game, or?
Yeah.
Oh no, do you go to them every game basically?
No, not basically every game, Greg.
Oh, amazing. That's great. I just
Yeah,
saw one of the battalion players was just drafted or signed a contract with Edmonton. Is that what happened?
Yeah, so unfortunately that if you know my feelings about Edmonton, I feel sorry for the poor bugger.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, that was Petrov that did that.
Yeah, that's right. That's the name.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now, Greg?
Yes, we can. This is much better.
Hey,
Your video is clear.
nice.
Your audio is clear.
John, you look absolutely resplendent.
Thank you. I had to move to my cell phone, and even that wasn't working for a long time. I don't know what's going on. Might be the storm.
Well, you can't have your means of connections being disturbed, considering what you do for a living.
No, that's right.
Anyway,
That's right. I did manage to catch that we deferred the one
I'm
application
in technical
because the applicant
because
was not
people are
present.
freezing out.
The applicant actually did come in about 15 minutes after the start of the meeting, so we were able to deal with it.
Okay, perfect.
And we went ahead and recommended approval to council on it.
Excellent.
I noticed Terry didn't volunteer to take over the 7 o'clock meeting either, as well. Anyway,
You're
That
able
honor,
to share,
that
John,
honor,
for-
that honor falls to John.
Yeah, we have both applicants in the waiting room for the meeting for 7. So hopefully things will run fairly smoothly.
Greg,
Okay.
don't we have 4 people on the agenda for 7 o'clock?
So the one application, oh yeah, so we do have the third application. One application has been deferred.
Okay.
So that person won't be attending. So we have both people for the minor variances. Sorry, I should have specified. And we are waiting on Mr. Levine for the consent. When we discussed earlier at the last meeting about moving forward without applicants, if Mr. Levine doesn't attend, I would maybe suggest that is one that we could move forward on, because that application has been approved by the committee twice previously, but he has just failed to satisfy the conditions within the year each time, so it lapsed. But it's an identical application to one that's already been approved 2 times. So if Mr. Levine doesn't attend, we may be okay to move ahead, but we can decide when and if that's required. But 7 p.m. now, and we're still live on YouTube. So anytime you're ready, John.
Okay, so I'll start with reading of the purpose of this meeting, right?
Do we need to open the meeting first, Carrie?
Yeah, we can open the meeting and do the minutes and then.
Okay, let's do that first then. I would ask if I could have an adoption of agenda, mover and seconder, please. And I can't see anybody because I'm on my phone and it's not giving me a good view.
Yeah, Frank
I
and Al
got,
were
yeah.
first, I believe.
Good. All those in favor?
Carried.
Good, thank you. And accepting the minutes of the previous meeting, October 20th, 2021. If I could have a mover and a seconder, please.
We had Terry and Erica.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Carried.
Thank you. And at this time, I'd ask if anybody has a disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof.
Seeing
None. No ratepayers delegation,
Not this evening.
and any business arising from the last meeting.
Seeing none.
Okay, we will move on to the public hearing portion of this meeting. Good evening and welcome to this evening's Committee of Adjustment meeting. The Council of Municipality of East Ferris has empowered this committee to make decisions on minor variance and consent to sever applications on their behalf. The committee is made up of citizen membership and 2 members of council. The members are as follows, and I'll just ask if the members can introduce themselves, please.
Al Harif,
Greg Corbeil,
Erica Lougheed.
Terry Kelly,
And I am John Simmons, chairing this evening. And Greg and Carrie, go ahead.
Greg Curtin, Manager of Planning with East Ferris.
I'm Carrie Hanselman, recording clerk.
Thank you. And as required under the Planning Act and pursuant to policy, the committee is holding a public meeting prior to making any decision on the proposed applications. The Committee of Adjustment has not yet made any decision on these matters, and all comments received prior to this evening's meeting, as well as comments received tonight during the meeting, will be considered in the decision. The committee makes our decisions based on the criteria outlined in the Planning Act that corresponds to the specific application type. The process will be followed is I will ask applicants to present their application in order listed on the agenda. The committee will ask any questions they have of the applicant. Staff will provide their comments about the application and give an overview of correspondence that has been received. Members of the public will present and answer questions if needed, and we allow for a 10-minute maximum time limit on all public comments to the committee. We will then move to a motion to approve or refer or refuse an application. We'd ask that everyone be respectable in their presentation, and comments should be directly related to the applicant. If any committee member has any conflict of interest with regards to any items on tonight's agenda, they would declare it now, please. And not hearing anything, we will now move to the first agenda item, which is file A2021-11, Corey Regan at 920 Centennial Crescent.
Okay, I will let Mr. Regan into the meeting.
Do we have Corey in yet?
He is trying to connect. Can you hear us, Corey? Mr. Regan, can you hear us?
Sorry, I missed part of this conversation. It's not working too well for me.
Oh, no problem. We can hear you now, though.
We can hear you.
Okay. I didn't hear what you
Good
asked the question, sorry.
No, we're just welcoming you and saying good evening and ask that you would just speak to the application that you have before us tonight.
Okay, I'm just looking for to put up lean-to off my garage to park stuff out of the weather, and yeah, it's going to be 20 by 40, and I'm just looking to get it approved.
Okay, does any committee member have any questions at this time? I'll take that not hearing anything as a no. Greg, would you like to speak to the application?
Sure. Sorry, I cut. Hello, can the committee hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I had a technical my audio cut out for a moment there. Sure, I can. I think I caught enough to know where we're at, though. I can give a brief overview of the application. So Mr. Reagan, when he built his home, he built a detached garage to the maximum allowable size of 960 square feet in the location that's existing. And what he's looking to do is to build a carport off the easterly side of the existing garage for the storage of wood and other equipment and just things that he has on his property. So it would be an open structure with posts along the edge and then an overhang connecting to the existing garage. It would be a relatively large numerical increase over what the bylaw permits. However, I think that given the location on the property set back significantly from the road, as well as the nature of the structure being open, it won't have like a considerable massing effect and any negative impact on the neighboring property. So for those reasons, my planning staff was supportive of approval of the application. We did receive comments from the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority as well, indicating that the garage location is outside of their regulated area and no DIA permit would be required, and further stated that they have no objection. And then we also received comment from the Ministry of Transportation, just indicating that this area is also outside of their permitting area. And we did not receive any public correspondence from any neighbors in the area.
Okay. At this point, I'll ask if there are any committee members that have questions of Greg or the applicant.
Not on my end. Thank you.
Not on my end. John, thanks.
I have no questions, just a comment. I still go back to our original chair's comments about 6-8 months ago. I'd much rather see equipment in one area and it looks neat rather than scattered all over a front lawn. So I'm fine with what's going on. Thank you.
I'm okay with it, Greg.
Good. Well, I think that's everyone then. And with that, I'll ask if someone could put a motion forward, please. I'll just ask for a mover and a seconder for an approval.
I can, Erica.
So Terry and Erica.
Thank you.
File number A 2021-11. The owner is seeking a minor variance to permit the construction of an addition to the existing garage on the property. The addition would bring the total area of the structure to 163 square meters. The maximum permitted accessory structure area of this property is currently 89 square meters. We, the undersigned, in making the decision upon this application, have considered whether or not the variance requested was minor and desirable for the appropriate development and use of the land, and that the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw and official plan will be maintained. Concur in the following decision and reasons for decision on the 17th day of November 2021. for the requested variance to permit the construction of an addition to the existing garage be approved.
Okay, with that, I'll ask if all are in favor. And believing that they are, I will suggest that that's carried, and then I will ask Greg to explain what happens next.
Sure, thanks, John. So the next step in the process is that we will issue a notice of decision and a copy of decision in the next couple of days following this meeting. Then there will be a 20-day waiting period. Following the 20-day waiting period, which is the legislative planning act appeal period, then you'll get confirmation of no appeal. And then following that, your decision will be final, and you'll be able to go ahead with your building permit to construct the addition that you're looking to construct. So I will be in touch with you in the next couple of days.
Okay, thank you very much, Corey.
Thanks.
We will move ahead then to file A2021-12, Jonathan and Laura Ball.
Okay, I can let, I see John Ball in the waiting room, so I will admit Mr. Ball right now.
Good evening.
Are you there, Mr. Ball?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect.
Good evening, welcome. I would ask at this time, John, if you'll just fill us in on the application and what you're looking for.
Perfect, sure, no problem. So
Okay.
we've submitted an application looking to add a deck to the west side of our home, which will be closer to the water, which will be a water setback variance, and that's the purpose of the application, is for a water setback variance. So we're looking to do some renovations to the current cottage, which we would like to add in a deck to the west side of the home on the main level. So it'll be up on piers or up on a structure, and then we're looking to add a deck towards the water facing west. So that's what we're looking for, is a setback variance versus the corner of the deck towards the lake.
You unmute John there.
Yeah, thank you. I'll ask if there's any questions from any committee members.
Not for me, thanks.
Good. Greg, anything to add from
Sure, thanks,
the
John.
staff?
I'll go over the correspondence that we received. So we received comments from the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority indicating that, being a lakefront property, this is within the regulated area. So they indicated that a DIA permit would be required for the construction of the deck. However, also indicated no general concerns with the proposal. We did also receive comments from the Ministry of Transportation indicating that the property is obviously outside of their permitting area. And then the only other piece of correspondence is my staff report. So basically what the applicant is requesting is we have a 20-meter setback in the bylaw for new dwellings along Lake Osmondson. The dwelling itself was previously built to a standard that was deficient to the current standard. So as a result of that, any expansion to the existing deck would trigger the requirement for a variance because it's already starting at a reduced setback. So although the applicant is seeking to build a deck that's only marginally larger than the existing structure, it automatically triggers the need for a variance. So we do allow a 1.5 meter encroachment into that required 20 meter setback. So generally speaking, the deck would need to be 18.5 meters, and the applicant is seeking to drop that down by a few additional meters to 50 feet. Or about 16.5 meters, I believe it was, 16 point something. Generally speaking, decks encroaching into the required setback are usually not an issue in most cases, especially a minor encroachment. The reason being is the setback and the intention of the bylaw is that there be protection for the shoreline of the lake and that the adequate vegetative buffer still be provided for. So the reduction that the applicant is requesting still allows those things to happen. And given that there's no concern from the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority, we don't expect the deck construction to cause anything from an erosional perspective or an environmental protection issue. So for those reasons, my staff report is supportive of the application.
Okay.
And,
okay, great.
And we received no public correspondence on this application either.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or concerns from any committee member?
I don't have any. I had a look at the property myself, and I was initially concerned about the deck that came out of the walkout basement. But in fact, I understand that you're actually working on the deck that's on the next level up. Is that correct? And at the end of the day, that deck that you're building on the top is not going to be any further or any closer to the lake than what the bottom decking is anyway. So it's in line as far as I'm concerned. And I've got the project correct, have I not?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm good with it.
I'm good with I'm good with it too, John.
Thanks.
So am I. So am I, John. Thank you.
Okay.
Ditto.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks, Erica. So I will ask for a first and a second to motion approval of this application. And then the read.
So I got Frank and Al. File number 2021-12. The owner is seeking a minor variance to permit the construction of a new deck with a reduced setback from the lake. The applicant is requesting a setback of 15.24 meters, whereas the bylaw requires 18.5 meters. We, the undersigned, in making the decision upon this application, have considered whether or not the variance requested was minor and desirable for the appropriate development and use of the land, and that the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw and official plan will be maintained. Concur in the following decision and reasons for decision on the 17th day of November 2021, that the requested variance to permit the construction of a new deck with a reduced setback on the subject lands be approved.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? And assuming that is carried, I will ask that Greg, you explain what happens next.
Thanks. So Mr. Ball will be issuing a notice of decision and a copy of decision. So we'll be doing that in the next couple of days, and I'll send you a copy for your records. So there will be a 20-day waiting period, which is the Planning Act appeal period. Following that, your decision will be final, and then you'll be eligible to proceed with your building permit and any other permitting that you require. So you'll expect to get an email from me with your official documentation within the next 2 days.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
And Greg, is it file number 39 that's deferred?
Yes, file number 39 has been deferred. I spoke with the applicant this week. We with the Conservation Authority, and ultimately it made the most sense that we schedule a site visit in a couple of weeks when Paula Scott is available to meet. There are just a couple of issues. We want to ensure that a septic system could fit on the site, and basically the topography presents some challenges. So we thought it would be best to conduct those site visits before bringing it back to the committee.
Perfect, thank you. So then we will proceed with file B 2021-40.
I do have a resolution to defer that one, sorry.
I'm sorry, thank you.
That the public hearing file number B 2021-39 be deferred in order to do a site visit with the North Bay Mattawa Conservation.
Thank you. All in favor? We probably need a first and a second on that too.
I saw Frank and Al, so we're good.
Good. And I bet everybody put up their hands, so. Good. Thank you. Then file B 2021-40.
So Mr. Levine, who is the applicant on this one, or well, the agent on behalf of Dan Power. So actually, I guess I should bring up to the committee's committee. It came to our attention recently that Mr. Power, the landowner, recently passed away. So we will have to make sure we go through the administrative processes to get continued approval from Mr. Power's estate for this application to proceed. However, that being said, this application has previously been approved 2 times by this committee and by council, because previously those approvals went to council. So Mr. Levine is not in the waiting room, but I would suggest that if the committee is comfortable, we may be able to proceed, given that this application is identical to the previous ones which were approved by the committee. But I'll leave that in the committee's hands to make a decision.
Certainly raises questions in my mind. I don't know about any other of the committee members. I'll let anybody who has any questions go first.
Greg, are you sure that the estate is actually going to want this severance to be done in light of the fact that this Mr. Power has passed away?
We're not sure about that yet. So the authorization to make the application has already been given, but the place where the authorization will be required from the estate is for the final transfer of the land. So ultimately, the estate will have a final decision and authority over whether the land gets transferred, because they will need to sign off on the legal documentation. That being said, we did speak with Mr. Power's widow at the office last week, I believe it was, Carrie, or the start of this week, and she indicated that she is supportive of the application. So while we don't adopt the estate at this time, we are under the like we do have the understanding that there won't be any issues, and we also have the I mean, I guess we have the built-in safety of the estate having final control over the transfer due to the fact that they need to sign off on the transfer ultimately.
Yeah, if there's a check and balance there, that's the main thing, right? That we're not moving ahead with something on behalf of the estate because the estate still has to agree to it.
Yes, they do. So ultimately, at the end of a severance process, when you register this consent certificate and transfer the land, the landowners, or in this case, the estate, needs to sign to authorize that transfer at the very end of the process. So there is a check and balance in this case in the form of that signature.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Any questions or concerns or comments?
Greg, this could come back to us depending on how fast the estate works. You know, sometimes those things drag on. So
it certainly could, and if the committee would feel more comfortable with getting the approval from the estate before proceeding with the decision, I would certainly be happy to go to after this meeting, call Mr. Levine and ensure that we get that documentation. We can definitely do it either way.
And it doesn't, Greg, I'm just like, there's no extra administrative burden on your end. It
No.
make more sense to wait for the estate. And you know what I'm asking? Like, are we doubling up the work on your end, or is it okay if we do
not really
the way that you're suggesting?
The only additional work would just be recirculating the application. So we would have to send out new notices and post a new sign.
Okay.
But that's no problem at all. We can definitely do that.
That's pending it doesn't fall within the year.
So if we defer right now, then we'll reschedule once we get authorization from the estate. And the 1-year timeline doesn't start until approval is given. So the 1-year timeline for conditions is from the date of the notice of the decision. So there's no, we're not starting that clock yet.
My inclination is that we should wait until the estate actually applies for this severance, seeing as this man has passed away.
So the estate doesn't need to apply for the severance. The application has already been made and the authorization has already been given for the application. So there aren't, I actually called David Germain, our municipal lawyer, prior to this meeting to inquire about this specifically, since it's a unique scenario.
Okay.
And there aren't any legal issues with us proceeding with this application because the authorization to make the application and to attend this committee has already been given. But David did advise that the estate would need to ultimately authorize the transfer. So he did say that because of the fact that the transfer ultimately needs to be authorized by the estate, we could request authorization to proceed now because they'll need it anyways. So, you know, if they're ultimately going to have to sign off on it anyways, there's no real harm in asking for it now either. So he basically advised that there's no issue with proceeding, but since they'll need to approve it anyways, we can ask for it now if we want as well.
Terry, do you have any voice on this one?
I think in my opinion, we've done due diligence. Greg has talked to the lawyer, and in the lawyer's opinion, I mean, we've talked to the widow. It's unfortunate circumstance, but I can see no reason not to proceed. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Yeah, I was kind of questioning a little more at the beginning with the explanation that Greg's given and the direction from council for the municipality. That does kind of put all my concerns at ease in terms of not moving ahead, but it is a committee decision. So I'll just circle back around, ask Al again, ask Erica and Frank.
Well, I'm okay with it
John.
now.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. Thank you.
Okay. Al, I think you said okay.
Yep.
Okay. And Frank.
I'm okay with it as well. My thinking was that this is the third time it's come to us, and you know, it may come to us a fourth time. But as far as moving ahead, I don't have any issue.
Okay, with that, I think I hear that the committee is good with moving ahead. So I'll ask for a motion first and a second to move forward with the approval of this application.
Erica and Terry.
Thank you.
File number B 2021-40. The applicant is requesting consent to sever from the Committee of Adjustment for the purpose of creating one new lot for residential purposes. We, the undersigned, in making the decision upon this application, have considered whether or not the requested consent is in conformity with the policies laid out in the East Ferris official plan and consistent with the requirements of Section 5124 of the Planning Act. Concur in the following decision and reasons for decision on the 17th day of November 2021. That the requested consent to create one new additional lot be approved, conditional to the following. The confirmation is provided that all taxes are paid up to date, that a plan of survey is prepared and filed with the municipality, that a plan of survey be sent electronically to the municipality of East Ferris community planner, that the applicant pays $250 in finalization fees prior to the transfer of the land, that the applicant is required to pay $1,000 per consent application to the municipality of East Ferris for the parkland dedication fee, that the transfer of land is submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of the certificate of consent, that subsection 53 of the Planning Act as amended applies to any subsequent conveyance or transaction of or in relation to the parcel of land, and that all conditions must be filed within 1 year from the date the notice of decision has been given. Otherwise, this provisional consent will lapse and the application for consent shall be deemed to be refused.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Again, assume that that is carried.
Yes, it is.
And I guess we don't need you to explain what happens next because they're not here.
No, we don't. I'll get in touch with Mr. Levine in the next couple of days, and I think he'll be familiar with the process,
Yeah.
or he should be now. So
Should be by now. Good,
mhm.
good. Well, that concludes our applications. So then on our agenda, we move to item number 7, any in-camera requirements.
No in camera tonight.
Thank you. Any correspondence?
No correspondence, but maybe I will just take 20 seconds just to remind everyone of our meeting coming up on Monday, the 22nd at 6 p.m. We have the additional special meeting that we scheduled for the new zoning bylaw review. So we'll have 2 hours at the Park Hall on Monday. There's the calendar invite was already sent out for it, but I just wanted to remind everyone that we'll be doing a question and answer information session that the public will be welcome to attend and watch, but we won't be accepting public input at that meeting. And we've cleared the regulatory requirements with our municipal solicitor as far as notification and statutory requirements for this. So we should get a good solid 2 hours to go through the bylaw policies and have a good conversation, hopefully.
Excellent. Good, good, good. And then finally, if I can have a motion, a first and a second to adjourn.
Al and Frank, that the Committee of Adjustment meeting adjourn at 7:32 p.m.
All those in favor? That will be carried as well. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take
Be
care,
safe.
guys.
Have a good night.
Good night.